Austin, will you double check the stream for me?
Yes. What am I? Oh no. It did do the thing, didn't it?
It did the thing.
I hate
What's the
YouTube
thing?
so much, man. Hey guys, it's 4 of us. We're here. We're live. We're existing. So that was just a practice run, everybody. This is one of 2 times this has happened in the 40 episodes we've done so far.
Yeah.
I was wondering why chat wasn't saying anything. I was like, damn, they're just, what the hell? They're so quiet.
They're
today.
so quiet.
So YouTube does this great thing where whenever I hit go live, I have to sit on the tab and it has to churn to actually go live. So when I went to just go post everything to social, it was just like, I'm just going to sit here and just keep loading. It's whatever. It's fine. And so until I went back to it. So there you go. Hey, everybody. What's up, stream? How you doing, Tutu? What up, Will? Cheyanian, Abi. How you doing? Not Ali, Abi. In the chat. How y'all doing? Glad to see you. Today we are joined by Ali and Hank from Fragment 9, and we have already been talking to them for like 10, 15 minutes. So now we're all warmed up and ready.
We're so warmed up. We're so ready. They already know exactly what to say. They have their scripts written out.
We're all ready. So
Well practiced.
So sorry, y'all. Also, what up, Desmond? How you doing, man? Desmond was our first guest. We know y'all love Desmond. We all love Desmond. We're big Desmond fans.
Desmond.
Big Desmond fans.
This is just for Desmond fans, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're actually changing the name to the Desmond Fan Club show immediately. So we'll just go ahead and do that. But anyway, so sorry, y'all. Would you mind reintroducing yourselves one more time?
Allie, you go first.
My name's Allie. I am an art director, animator at Fragment 9.
And I'm Hank. I do Hank things at Fragment 9.
Woo!
Hank does Hank things, ultimately. That's just what he's
Yeah.
into.
What's up? And Fragment 9 is a sort of production design creative studio for concerts and live events. We do all your visual needs, from lighting to content to just being a good hang.
Whoa.
To being a good hang.
Being a good
Everybody
hang.
need that on set. They need a good hang. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you just, I think being a good hang has gotten us probably more work than maybe anything else.
Same.
I agree
get
with that. Yeah, no, it's important to be a good hang. And
Yeah.
and Hank, these Hank things, did they leave you much time at your place in New York, or are you traveling around? That's a leading question, guys.
That is a leading question. It's almost like we've talked about this before.
Oh, maybe.
It's
Um,
crazy.
Sort of the blessing and the curse of the concert live event world is you're kind of constantly on the move. So as my one business partner likes to remind me, I typically spend more days on the road than at home in any given year, like well in the 200s days on site.
Whew. Oh boy. Oh boy. At that point, is New York even home? You know? Is it even?
Well, let me tell you, I pay the taxes, so
well,
it's definitely home.
yeah, that makes sense.
So it better
As I just
be.
had to do the other week, I was like, ooh.
Yikes. Yeah, I get that. I grew up in Texas where there's no state income tax, so even coming to North Carolina where it's like 5%, I was like, miss me with that, please. That's no thanks. I'll pass.
Pass.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a lifestyle choice at some point. Like I'm not married to the work, and I think it's important to, like, every once in a while be like, it is 7 p.m. It's definitely time to pencils down and go out and do some things. But yeah, when you're on site, and it's fun. Like, we also get to beep the boops to, like, some music that I listened to in, like, high school and was, like, jamming out. And so, like, it's a pretty decent day job.
Yeah, I would
That's
say
very
so.
cool. Do you guys sometimes get projects with music that you're just fully not into, and you're like, well, I'll just figure it out?
Yes. That, I mean, like, I'm sure, like, you guys sometimes get approached by a client, and you're like, yeah, I have no idea what we're going to do for that.
Yep.
But,
Mm-hmm.
we certainly try very hard to find everything interesting. And frankly, like, I really enjoy getting artists that, like, as a musical genre that I don't normally listen to. Like last year, I did maybe 2 or 3 like reggaeton shows, and it's like I probably would have never picked that up by myself, but now I'm like, yo, this J
Now you're
Balvin song
vibing to
bumps.
it.
Yeah,
Just have your
like, oh, that
music
Bad
taste
Bunny guy is
forcefully
really good.
expanded.
Yeah, but that's true. Like, like very much your music taste will get forcefully expanded, and you also have to listen to that song like 40 times in a row.
Yeah.
It's
So at
just
that point, you
on.
better liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
have a
sort of
love-hate
learn to embrace
relationship
it.
with it. Yeah.
Sometime I feel like we got to just put on an art list, audio jungle, and whatever other like royalty-free track concert or something like that. Just because the
Oh
sheer
my God.
amount of times that like we've sat and listened to songs like hundreds of times, animating or whatever, I feel like it's got to happen. Bring all my favorite royalty-free artists together, especially, and we'll have it like set up by category. So it's like a full week-long festival, right? We're going big, but it's like day 1 is electronic, day 2 is hip hop, and then you finish the whole thing off with the corporate category, and
I would
everyone is
love
just
to be
bumping
Ooh, now
to
you're
some corporate
yes.
lounge music. Let's go.
Just the
That
most
would be so
ambient,
much fun.
like yeah.
Oh, ambient night would be interesting. That'd be
Ooh,
fun.
yeah. There should definitely be like an ambient stage.
Like a
That's
yoga.
just-
No, it's the ambient tent. Like instead of the rave
Oh
tent, it's the
yeah.
ambient tent,
The
and you just go
ambient.
in there to
Everyone's just.
chill. There's like it's a giant projection map installation, and you're just sort of there like watching like
Yes.
the paint swirl.
I love
I'm gonna
it.
need you to do visuals for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds
And I will
great.
become a prolific DJ using non-copywritten music. So I got you. Don't worry about it. Speaking of visuals, Ali, how the heck? Like I have seen some of your work and it's g-dang gorgeous. How the heck do you come up with such crazy and like very diverse looks for each show? Do people usually come to you with like a vision?
Depends on the show. So the bigger ones usually they will have their own creative house like team that is choosing their look, the story. Maybe they even know what they want for animation or visuals. And then usually with smaller shows, we're able to have more creative freedom. Like we just did Alt J last year, and we were able to sort of decide what we wanted per song to tell that story. But the cool thing is that most people don't focus on the actual like what's happening throughout the song. They just kind of give you like one mood board still, like we want it to look like this. So it's up to you to make this a full song type of thing. So I think there's a lot of creative freedom inside of like what you're making. It just may have to look like what somebody wants, but the whole 3 minutes, I'm making decisions the whole time that I've come up with. So that's where it can get pretty fun.
Yeah, we typically are given like a jumping off point, and then we have a lot of rope to play with.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a darn good time. I bet you value that creative freedom.
Yeah, coming from I was in advertising for like 2 years in Chicago, and a lot of the work would be like people knew about animation or knew motion design and kind of knew what they wanted per like couple seconds, so they give storyboards.
Right.
And it's like, okay, you're making exactly this. But now it's like I think those creative directors for these shows like frankly have too much to deal with to like actually think about that. So they're like, here's some mood boards. This is what we want to look like. Like we trust you to figure it out as like you're at the content house. And so we get a lot of creative freedom through that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I bet they're darn very well pleased because I saw that some of the stills from that Alt J stuff. Oh my lord.
It fits,
Thank
you.
you know? It really defines that brand. And I wouldn't think of it typically in a way of like these bands could be like companies in a way, you know, like I wouldn't expect them to have their own in-house creative folks at all. You know, I'm kind of just like, like lead singers just kind of like, yeah, that sounds cool. Like I saw this video. Can we get something like that? But it's cool to know that there are more people involved. You know, now when you're saying like small show for Alt J, like I mean I know some of the kind of artists that you're working with otherwise, but like what is a small show? Like how is that defined? Like what's the minimum sort of engagement that you guys are working with? Not necessarily in terms of money or anything like that, but
That's
just
a
like
good question.
size of band or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, like we are sort of lucky in that we've gotten to the point where like we get a lot of phone calls, frankly, from people.
Yeah.
And like we're pretty happy to engage with like anyone. I mean, I think we were talking about this a little earlier, just like it's fun to do different things. So like, we'll do a country show, we'll do then straight to an EDM thing, and then straight back into like R&B. Like it's sort of fun to bounce around, but like I would say for like video, typically, Frank, there's like a sort of minimum show size, just because when we think about like especially a concert tour, like the stuff's got to go in a truck and travel from city to city.
Right.
And so hilariously, when we think about like sort of a production size, especially when it comes to like adding lighting, adding backline, which is like all the instruments, adding audio, like you start a lot of tours are talked about in number of trucks. Like that is how you gauge the size of a tour. It is like, oh, it's a 5-truck tour, it's a 10-truck tour, it's a 20-truck tour. Like legitimately, when
Oh
people
my
ask how
God.
big a tour it is, it's how many trucks.
That's cool.
Because it's just how much stuff can you bring.
Yeah.
And trucking, especially now, is incredibly expensive since the pandemic. Like trucking and like tour buses can be some of like the number one line item costs.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
For production. So like you literally think about how many trucks can you afford on the road, and then it's like, okay, like a 3-truck tour is like probably like the limit for bringing some sort of video element.
I see.
Like a 5-truck tour, you could bring like a small video wall with you for like the upstage as like your backdrop. And then so like that might be like a big club tour, like you're doing like Radio City in New York or something like that, like kind of 4 to 6,000 cap venues. And then like a shed tour, so like amphitheaters, you're probably bringing some sort of video element. And then especially arenas and of course stadiums, it's so big you need video, right? Like you just need IMAX screens so people can see the artist. So like, essentially like club tours, video, very optional. And then once you get to like a amphitheater, you're typically having some sort of video package. And then really for the bigger shows, you have to have it because it's, part of that sort of both seeing the artist on the side screens and then also sort of building the set and the scenic.
Like it would feel awkward if they didn't have it and it was that big of a show.
Yeah.
It's just like this huge crowd or huge space and it's just somebody standing in center stage with a light on them or something would just feel
Like
a
that
little
could
out
be
of place,
anyone, man. They could just be
Yeah,
playing
exactly.
the music. I don't know.
Okay, in terms of truck sizes, what's like the biggest shows? How many trucks are we talking?
I was about to ask the same thing.
It's like
Trucks are
20,
rock.
25 plus.
Wow. That's
Dang.
wild. They got a whole caravan going. It's like
That's
I mean,
crazy.
and
Do they
oh yeah,
caravan?
like stadium shows, like the big stadium shows, you'll typically have 2 stages, so you'll have 2 sets of steel, and they leapfrog
Oh,
each
wow.
other. So like all the sort of quote unquote expensive production elements, like the speakers and the video wall and the instruments, they go to every city. But the stage, it literally just takes so long to build. It will leapfrog and go to the next city, and then leapfrog and go to the next city. So like,
So they have to
that
have
can,
2 stages to break down
yeah,
and
Wow.
rebuild because it takes so long to do that.
yeah.
Wow.
Like the sort of logistics of touring really impact sort of like how you build a show from the beginning. It's like you have to think almost from the start, like because it's part of the budget. Like how do you get the thing around?
right.
Which is very different than like a corporate one-off where it's like, it's only got to be there for 2 days. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares?
Yeah, I noticed I was looking at Taylor Swift's tour dates, and she has like mostly Friday, Saturday shows, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and then the rest of the week is off. And I'm like, that just seems a little different than what I've usually seen. I don't know, Hank, if you have any thoughts about this, but like usually it's like every other day, just go, 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 go. But that was technically, I think she would be like paying all those people throughout that week, even if they weren't working.
Because they still got to
or they are working to set it up because it's such a big show, but there's time, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that probably costs her way more, but at the same time, you're not, working people to death, maybe? I don't know. I don't know if it's like different in any way, but I thought it was very interesting when I saw that.
Yeah, and that's really a stadium like schedule, maybe is the best way to say it, because like again, you're walking in and like there's nothing there. In an arena, when you walk in, there's already a floor, there's already a ceiling. The ceiling is kind of the important part. You don't have to build that from scratch. And so on an arena tour, you can, and you do almost always, roll in at 8 a.m. They mark out the floor with like chalk, and then they hang hundreds of motors, pull all the production into the air. You know, typically, hopefully by lunch, pretty much everything is like up in the air. And then sort of around 1 p.m. right after lunch, while everything has been flown, the stage has been built like out front, essentially. So like if you can split like an arena in half, like the stage is on this side. They're building the stage up here. It's all on wheels. So all the stuff's going in the air. Now it's all in the air. They just literally push the stage. They just wheel it into position. And then you sound check around 3. Typically, you know, have whatever VIP moment sort of later in the afternoon. Doors are at 6. Do your show at 8. You know, some opening acts, and you literally show ends at 11. You tear it all down. It's in the trucks by 1 a.m. and you're off to the next city, and you'll do that all again the next day somewhere else.
And that's for
That sounds like
that's
not
a-
a lot
that's a-
of sleep.
no.
That's a tour.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
There's a crucial nap right around 4 p.m. You can typically get on a like a well-oiled tour.
These are some hot tips.
Well, this
But
will all
yeah,
be good.
I mean, like, I don't know how we ended up just talking about
No,
like touring
no.
logistics.
No,
but
that's good.
Interested. This is
it's
like,
sort of fascinating that like, yeah, like people, you know, you go to a show and you don't think like, how did this get here?
Right.
And a good chunk of the time when you see that like every other day or like, you know, 3 in a row, like, yeah, it has been set up and taken down same day.
Jeez. I mean, it's like,
And then, you know,
it's like a lot of things. I think people just see something done well and they don't really just think about the actual time that's put into it. So they're just kind of like, yeah, you know, I mean, that obviously that works. Like that should happen. That's fine. But you actually hear that side of it and you're like, okay, that is actually pretty crazy, you know?
yeah.
that is so fascinating. I'm now terrified just thinking, like I've been to some EDM festivals. I'm terrified thinking of how many different truckloads they had to get all those stages there. That's awful. That's awful. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Then like,
fuel burned in the
Oh
industry.
my Jesus.
It's unfortunate.
but when you think about, you know, a tour going somewhere versus all of those people, you know, flying to Vegas or something, like
Mhm.
it's sort of what's better, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard ecological math any way you cut it.
I see.
That's very true.
Hey,
That's an
all I'm gonna
interesting
say is
perspective.
I'm ready for ReviCon now. Like I feel like we are prepared and ready to do it. So
Oh my
Yes.
god.
look
You're
out.
the first people we're calling.
There was something I was gonna ask. Yeah, so I don't know if it's budgeted like this or anything, but out of all of those costs, because I mean there's just so many logistics and things involved. When somebody comes to you and is like, all right, let's do a show, let's do a tour, whatever, let's figure this out. What percentage of that conversation's budget is taken up by like the actual visual, like the actual motion work or video or any of that stuff?
Good question.
It's a great question. I honestly don't know because
Yeah.
I typically am not like, yeah. Like I don't think, you know, I don't normally know like the overall show budget
Mhm.
because like that includes like catering and local labor and all
I
that
see.
stuff. But like typically you know, they'll talk about the budget as like the design and rehearsal phase
Mhm.
and then like the touring sort of phase of
see.
it. Because typically, you know, Taylor Swift is actually a good example. Like what they're trying to do is put on the same show every night very repeatedly, right? Like it's going to vary. Like they might swap a couple songs out of each set list, but like you're really like you're selling a product and it's a very, like you said, like well produced, well oiled machine with
Right.
a show that sort of goes off without a hitch. So you want it to be the same every night. So, you know, like that sort of like rehearsal design phase is like happening. And then you're sort of getting into like the operation of the show. And it's like,
Got
okay,
it.
now we want it to be repeatable and we have to worry about like trucking and logistics and all that. So a lot of times like it's thought about in like, okay, what do we have for like the design? And like there's a design sort of one-time budget to
Mhm.
get the show up and running.
Gotcha.
And visuals honestly take up a lot of that budget.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about the length of a headlining act, like you can have it could be a 90-minute show. Like 90 minutes of custom video is like that's
Yeah.
a
That's a
movie.
lot. Yeah.
That's a feature film, right?
Yeah.
That's the length of a feature film. And so, you certainly have songs that are simpler, like you kind of dial the complexity down. So it's like, okay, like for the ballad, we can have pretty twinkly stars
Right.
and sort of like set a place and like make us like set a place, set a feeling, and sort of accent smaller pieces. That's cool. Like we don't have to go nuts and hit every snare, every kick,
Or like
every little
every
guitar lick,
lyric needs to
right?
show up on screen or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, the lyric. People love the
Oh
lyric
my
videos
God.
now.
Yeah.
Which is funny because those are actually like, in terms of complexity, like aren't terrible. They're just like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's the
but
same
yeah,
thing, I
so
think,
it's
as like going in and just captioning a video, basically. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
it's not one-to-one. Like, there is a lot more that goes into that, but I feel like it's the same sort of process, I guess.
Yeah.
and especially like for some of the larger acts, when they're really trying to do like a story-driven narrative,
Oh, yeah.
like there will be shot interstitials, right? So like you're going, essentially like on a set, like with a, film crew and a gaffer and a best boy and all that stuff, and you're like, okay, let's shoot this thing to tell the story,
Right.
right? And like, that has like when you're, sort of doing that shot work, and like we typically edit it, we don't shoot it, we don't do that kind of thing. That's another cost, right? Because now you just got to find someone to help you with that side of it.
Right.
So for the larger shows, it can really be a big budget portion, but it's also, it's just it's like so much linear time, and then B, it depends sort of like what they're trying to do, what the artist is trying to do, what story they're trying to tell,
Right.
and like what the aesthetic is, like some people that I've worked with have very aesthetic they're trying to stick to, and it's like you have to work within that.
Yeah. They've got like their
Yeah.
set thing that they want to try and do,
Yeah.
at least, Now,
Yeah.
Allie, I have a question for you, just for me, but then we also have 2 questions in the chat that we'll get to in just a second. So now I know that we talked about how there might be some in-house creatives with some of these acts and things, but do you ever run into, in the design and motion phase, do you get like the actual artist being like, no, I really want this particular thing, like really getting hung up on some small stuff, or like really want this particular story, even though it might not necessarily be communicated? Because I know we get that a lot of time with just advertising in general. You're like, we really need to focus on this thing right now. But I don't know. Have you ever had just any artists go crazy and they just really have their vision? You're just kind of like, well, all right, just got to do it.
Yes. Mostly no, though. Like mostly they have their own things to worry about. With between rehearsals, probably like I know when we were in Vegas for Usher, he was spending a lot of time recording backup vocals for himself and things like that. So he had his own stuff going on. So there's minimal like input. Like maybe once in a while he'd be like, that looks like, I remember I made something that was a lot of like abstract, and then there was like weird faces everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't notice until it was on the screen, and everyone, he was like, this kind of look like faces. I don't know. And I was like, oh no, it totally does, like everywhere. And so we changed it. But like, I think it happens more with like maybe electronic music where they're very particular because
that makes
it's
sense.
kind of the forefront of their show is visuals. And so yeah, there's been some times when they have a lot of when electronic artists maybe have a lot more input than others, because that's like literally at the same priority as what they're doing, I think, in their mind sometimes. So yeah, it's happened.
That makes sense. I mean, Noah used to have a roommate that was I'd say he was probably like 75% focused on the visuals sometimes, for some of the tracks that he would
I
make.
mean, it's very much, I think, especially with that kind of genre of music, it's very much like almost a feeling that you're trying to get across and give people. It's less focused on the, I guess, particular music. And I assume that part of it is that like that type of music can be more repetitive as well.
Mhm.
So, and like less lyrical, and so it's more of a feeling. At least that's my perspective on it. And
Yeah.
in that, visuals play a big role, and so it's
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the electronic scene, it's like this is what everyone's pretty much looking at. This is the center of attention.
mhm.
But for something like a residency in Vegas or just like a big show, if anything else, pretty much, the visuals have to work with everything else that's going on. So
It's
the
a
note,
supporting element.
yeah, the artist may have notes, but by the time it gets to visuals, they've already maybe thought about like the choreography and the lighting and just the stage design and all these other things that are going on.
Right.
And if the visuals look decent, then usually they'll just be like, cool, great, like let's keep going because there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then that's like the artist, but usually like for the bigger shows, they have hired a creative director or somebody who does pay attention to that, who will have more precise things like at this time, like we want this to happen or something like that.
I see.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
That makes sense.
You
Are
know,
there,
go ahead.
Ali, are there specific maybe genres of music is too broad, but are there specific types of concerts that you prefer to work on? Type of events?
I really liked R&B. That was really fun. But I think I hope that I've been like pushing some metal bands just
Oh, snap.
That sounds like fun.
because like these two bands I listen to are probably one has just released or is going to release an album in like May, and I'm like, okay,
You
like, let's reach
please.
out to them.
Come on.
But, I don't know. I feel like it'd be a cool challenge. I don't think we as a company have done anything for metal before,
Huh.
so that'd be fun. Yeah, Alt J was super fun too, just like indie,
Yeah,
indie rock type of thing.
that's cool.
Sounds banging. You guys have to let me know if you guys do visuals for something because I simply gotta see it. I gotta go. Going to get tickets.
Sounds good.
We got a question from Jose G in the chat. Says, a feature film, so how long does it take to make a 90-minute show, for example? Now, I know that's going to vary depending on what it is, but there's an average, your best guesstimate for a 90-second. Or, sorry, not 90-second.
If you're
90
doing
minute
full
show.
content, like the whole thing,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have months. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 months out.
Okay.
8 weeks, I would say, would be like, I mean, and we're having a big team on a show with that long and that much complexity.
Right.
Like, I think the first time we did Usher, we had a team of 6 animators. That sounds about right. So like the work is divided up, and that's sort of the beauty of a concert is like the unit of time of one song is great. Like that's a 3-minute thing. Like perfect. Allie, you get 3 songs. Oh, like you're struggling with one song, we can like slide that over to someone else. Or
Right.
like I can help you with that piece of that, like that's sort of the beauty of concerts. It's like it's already broken up into segments. And so it's easy to like sort of reassign those segments.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like we try, I mean, like the more time, the more noodling we can do. And I think as a team, we've definitely felt a little slammed recently. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, it'd be great to know about this project more than 4 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel that. Yeah.
Juggling a billion different things all at the same time makes it a little bit difficult to really feel like you're super engaged with any one of them in particular. I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That can be tough. Speaking of
I
juggling
think-
a bunch of things. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I
Okay.
insist.
I was just gonna add to what Hank said. That it also depends on the budget for the visuals themselves. Like if we do a full show, but they have a tight budget for it, there's going to be a lot of stock footage and a lot of looping, right? Like we're not going to be doing we won't be doing a lot of custom specific 3D 2D design
Right.
if the budget's tight. But it's
Yeah.
like a triangle of like time, quality, money type thing. Like you can only pick two.
Yeah.
So we've done shows where and then maybe they'll choose which songs they really want more complexity on. And then sometimes it's just like Hank said, like it's a ballad, like let's just have a 10-second loop of stars
Is that a world?
entire
Yeah.
time. And it works, right? Like it's fine. Like people in the crowd are loving it. It's great. So.
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a big screen. I mean, like on the events that we've done, it's just like it's so much easier to just kind of do something small sometimes. In like we're used to doing whatever for social media or for web ads or whatever, and it's like on a small screen. You got to make sure it's all interesting the whole time and real snappy, whatever. But we just had like some text move or something when we did one of these events, and we saw it on this like super wide screen. We're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it just there's something about seeing just this like super bright giant wall of just something cool. It does, like any graphic, it just looks interesting when it's on a screen like that, you know?
Yeah, and like frankly, like when you have the video respect a lot of like the dancer blocking, like you less is more because you're highlighting the
Right.
bodies already on stage, you're
Right.
highlighting the choreography. There's like a moment in the Usher show where literally we have a gradient come in from the sides,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's the only thing, but it's like a black
I've read.
stage, there's no light, and like this gradient comes in, and like the video is essentially backlighting all these dancers, and that's the reveal.
Right.
And it's like it is an easy thing, right? It's literally a gradient going woo.
I kept saying it was my most proud work, and I remember being like, "You ready, Mom?" Because she was there when we watched it, and it was just this like rectangle, just.
That's
But it
awesome.
looks beautiful. It
Yeah.
looks amazing because it's like it's working with the choreography, and again, it's like a massive screen. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to be fast moving
No,
things.
it's-
like on
Everyone's gonna get motion
a
sick.
square going like this on your screen is going to be like, that's so slow. When it gets
When it moves
multiplied
50
by
feet
100
all at the
feet,
same time, then like
Yeah.
you're gonna cause some problems. But also, it's just it just makes that environment so much more like interacted with whenever you could do anything, and it's really just like you get to actually change that physical space. I think just makes such a
Yeah.
huge impact. And speaking of, because I'm sure that can be hard to visualize during the design process sometimes. Gordon says, do you ever use VR or 3D models during the visualization phase? I'd imagine designing at that scale must be tricky to review or see it in context.
Yes.
you get a
Not-
gold star.
Yeah, that's
Whoever
Gold
said that in the
star.
chat.
Gold star,
Gold star to
Gordon.
Gordon. Fantastic.
Yeah, we don't really use VR, I don't think, but
we did for one show a long time ago.
yeah, but we do 3D.
Yeah.
Previs is what it's called. Hank, do you want to
Yeah.
describe this?
Yeah, so there's actually quite a bit of like software that's specialized just for this.
Mhm.
So like our main media server software is like a full 3D environment, and so we build the screens in whatever orientation in 3D. Typically, we'll also bring the set in there, so like we have scenic elements or just like the staging.
Mhm.
Because like if you have a video cube, right, that's like 5-sided, you have to unpack that for animation, just like in any 3D program, but you want to see it actually wrapped together. So we'll sort of do all that unwrapping and all that UV mapping first. We'll put it in like the media server software so we can sort of visualize it, sort of step one. And then there's sort of step two where we combine it with lighting. So there's like another special piece of software that essentially can visualize like all those light beams coming in and the atmospherics, like the haze and the smoke. And then we'll actually take that video, put it into that with the lighting, and try to approximate it as best as possible. But that way we can, for what we were just talking about, it's like, okay, we can turn all the lights off because the video screen is bright enough to like backlight the dancers, and that's more powerful. Or for this song, actually too much light, like we can't see the video.
Like, let's tone it down.
Especially, yeah, let's tone it down. Especially like with projection, there's always a fight between like the projected light versus the workhorses that are lighting the stage. And there's always trying to find that balance, especially like when you're building the world, right? Like if we're building the beautiful twinkly star look, like, okay, what is the lighting, that's going to support that?
Right.
Is it all coming from one side to simulate like moonlight, like, moonbeam or something?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we previs all that sort of together in a 3D environment.
That makes sense.
That's so cool.
And then jobs are so interesting. I could seriously talk about this with y'all for like 3 hours every day. Do you ever
I think you've learned all our secrets. We have no more secrets
That's
to
all
share.
of
highly
them.
doubt
We
that.
just got to the last one. No shot.
Oh my
No
God.
chance.
No shot. Absolutely not.
I mean, the biggest challenge is just like coming from I never did like shape animation as intricate like as I see with you guys doing,
Mhm.
but coming from advertising, it was still the same like caring a lot about every second, almost every frame that
Right.
you're making
Mhm.
type of stuff, and the transition between doing that work for two and a half years, like through college and then through my first job, and then coming into this, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot go down rabbit holes here, like because I won't finish anything. Like
Yep.
I wanted to make things so intricate and stylized, and I really had to like work on like transitioning to letting things go and just like being okay with it, or actually trying to learn how to automate as much as possible, like with expressions or
Yeah.
Mhm.
finding interesting looping points and things like that to make it just work for 3.5 minutes, even though I only animated like 15 seconds or so.
Yeah.
It was an interesting transition.
That makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
we have a lot of workflows where it's like, what happens when the artist is like, you know what, I don't like that verse. I'm just gonna cut it for this song. And it's
Yeah,
like, well, that could have been hours of keyframing.
Right.
and
You
do
know,
it.
you don't.
Yeah.
Don't have
But
that
look,
time to
I
spend.
shifted the BPM up to. Is that a problem? It's like, yeah,
Of
bro,
course
that's
it
a
is. Yeah,
huge
man.
problem.
Hey, can we
But
just
it's
like
like
cut this scene out? Sure, just like move everything over. I don't understand what the deal
exactly.
is.
When I first started, there was custom keyframing done, and then things would change. I'd be like, "Oh my
You'd be like,
god!"
ow, my
Um,
brain. Why? Why did I
But
do
we've
this?
worked we've worked since then. Our senior animator Pablo, he has a lot of techniques to basically tie as many things to the audio as possible through expressions and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's like our base. That's how we start a lot of our animation with songs is through automated things like expressions, whatever.
Yeah, like we're exposing as much as we can so that, you know, essentially there's like an intermediary between like the animation handles and what the music is.
Right.
And that way when this changes, we don't have to redo all of this work
Yeah.
on the other
It's
side.
really
Try to
important.
like firewall it.
I mean, that's a super
Fascinating.
important journey as a creative, though. Like, I know Noah and I struggled with that quite a lot.
Yeah.
At the beginning of Ruby, especially because every project, like, we're not making things outside of work really at that point. So we're like tug of war with the client every time. I'm like, if you're making a stupid decision, that's ruining my portfolio. It's not just like for your video, you know? And so like being able to let go of that and just be like, no, it's their thing. And
Yeah.
I think just as animators over time, I know that it took a while for, I know, and I butted heads quite a lot on like, I would always be the person just be like, dude, we don't have time for this. We just got to go forward. And he's like, but we got to make something interesting and fun and intricate. And I'm like,
unique. Let's make
but
it
we
unique
don't
and
have
beautiful,
to.
yeah.
We don't have to. We have like
It's-
6
a
projects
constant
right
fight.
now, you know?
It's a
Yeah,
fight even
it's-
internally, like between
Yeah.
wanting to do, even with that rectangle coming out to show the dancers. I'm like, can I like add like an embossing thing on
Yeah.
this? Can I do something
Like,
to
am
make
I
it just like a
allowed
little
to
bit
just do
more
this?
interesting than just like a rectangle solid coming in, which I did. And it
Yeah.
had like a little something on it, but like we didn't need it. But like I
Yeah.
was just like that was in my mind where I was like, I feel like I have to do a little bit more.
That was us when we got into doing events in the past like 6 months. Same sort of thing, battling with that. Like every week I'm putting out 20 billion shapes flying around on a screen and it's all moving at like everything changes every half second or something, to just being like, oh, we can just like animate some text
Have
coming
a chill
on
here for us.
Oh, all
Let it
right,
Yeah.
ride.
cool. But there's a
it's-
little bit of a like, am I allowed to do this? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
fully doing
I
my
had those same
job,
thoughts.
you know?
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah,
tough
I
battle.
mean, there have been times too, I think, where we've told some of our animators, like, can you calm down? Like, just chill out. Like, this is a lighting song. This is a song about the lights. Like, you don't have to go that hard.
Yeah, one of the most refreshing things I think that Jeremy, one of the creative directors and founders, will say to me is, "Don't spend more than 3 hours on this."
Yep.
Like, and I'm not, and he's like, that doesn't include like, don't do overtime, don't do anything, don't spend more than 3 hours. This is not worth any more of your time than that.
Yep.
So you know, and that's a kind of almost like a challenge to figure out how to do it very simply, and move on. So.
I understand.
Yeah, I mean,
that.
sometimes we'll set like very short timers. to do
Ridiculously short
things.
timers, like 30 minutes to storyboard a whole video, and we know we're not going to be able to do that, but it at least also helps us get started, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something so
At
different.
least
about
you're gonna have something at the end of that time period.
And that can
Yes.
get me started.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whatever, you know. Now
I do that internally for myself all the time. I'm like, you have an hour to get this out.
you just have
So,
to do it. You got to treat yourself
Yeah.
like a client sometimes, and you're like, boom, I'm assigning. You got to do this. Make it happen. Figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I know we're coming up on the end of our time together. I was curious if you guys had a hard out or not. If you do, it's totally okay. Just let me know.
I can do another. Do you have another meeting, Hank?
No, I don't actually.
Do another 10, 15 minutes.
Perfect. That works great, because if you guys would be so kind, we can critique some motion design. Doesn't that sound like
Sounds good.
fun?
Oh my gosh.
Let's do
Oh
Oh,
it.
is this sunglass moment?
This is sunglasses moment.
Damn it.
Absolutely.
Oh snap! Well, okay, now you got to go get them, because now we're
Okay,
all.
I'm gonna go get them. I'll
Gotta
be
do
right
it.
back.
You got to
Right,
do
right.
it.
I can't show Allie up that hard. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for real. That's just not fair.
Boom! All right. Well, because of the time that we have, we will do one critique today, and then we'll get to our good old Rex of the day. But in the meantime, maybe we gotta wait for Allie to get back for me to be able to say
Rex
what
of
she
the
said.
day. What's Rex? What's that segment?
So the wording's a little confusing, because when we do critiques, we say we boom roast stuff, you know. But then Rex of the day is like recommendations of the day, as in like work that we like.
Yeah.
So it is what it is now. We're going with the naming. We're just gonna roll with it. But we found some work that we like, and we'll go ahead and shout it out and talk about it. It'll be fun. Nick M says
Hell
Wreck-It
yeah.
Review. Yeah, that's the new movie that's gonna come out. Let's
Oh,
go!
hell yeah.
Ooh, whoa!
Oh my
Yours
gosh,
are so
he's ready
much
to
more.
critique over
Yours are
here.
so much more slay than ours.
Oh my
it's
God.
not even close. All
This is gonna
right.
be scalding. I'm
Also-
so sorry, whoever submitted this.
Yeah,
I was about
seriously.
to say, yeah, I feel bad with the Allie.
These turn us
sunglasses.
into
Ooh.
different people. It's
They
true.
do. I mean,
Um,
now let's go.
Hugh.
They're like the devil wears Prada.
Hugh says, I am so in love with Allie's background. Holy shit. So there you go.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Plant-
I'm propagating like a whole bunch of plants right now. So
You got to do it.
I know. The next time Allie comes to New York, I told her she has to come with like a monstera leaf as her personal item.
oh my God, on the plane.
That's fun. All right.
All right, check out the Discord screenshot to
Yep.
see what we're wrecking. you
Make sure
guys.
you're watching
We
it.
press watch stream.
Yep, you
Yes.
just hit watch stream and you should be able to see this. This was a submission that someone from our community did for a Polish motion design competition. So
Oh.
if there's Polish being
Ooh.
spoken, that's why. Yeah.
Pomagamy sportowcom.
There's your Polish.
There's my Polish. That's what I needed.
Pomagamy młodzieży rozwijać talenty. Pomagamy klientom przełączyć się na
digging
biznes
those
bez
icons.
papieru. Pomagamy
Animations.
uchodźcom odnaleźć dom. Pomagamy planecie, aby wszystkim żyło się lepiej.
This video is very
Pomagajmy
dramatic.
razem.
I love it.
Asseco.
Ooh.
Technology for business. Solutions for people.
Oh, now we're not Polish.
Oh,
At the very end.
That's true. All right. I don't know how to critique this because it's so different from what we normally do, which is amazing. Like, I'm like, where's the kick and the snare, dude?
Where's it's not where the lyrics at? Come on.
Yeah.
It's definitely not supposed to be that, Hank.
I know it's not.
I think my first impression is that is it all one piece? Because it does feel like one. Is this a reel or is this a
It's
project?
all one piece. It's one project.
It's all one
Okay,
piece.
gotcha. Okay.
Yep. I had one particular spot that stuck out to me more than the rest of it. It was, I think, right after this part. Yep, here. I get the concept of what's trying to be done here. You know, you want this thing to like travel up in between these, like a maze, but it happens so fast compared to the other stuff to where it is kind of hard to read that animation at first. Or
Yeah.
it just feels kind of rushed, you know. I think that could use a little bit more room to breathe. Also, if we're pixel peeping, the actual path kind of just goes over some of the lines there and doesn't really follow the actual path. Like, You know,
Yeah, much more
It's
direct to it, yeah.
it's cheating the maze a little bit.
just a
Yeah,
little bit. But I
just a
understand
little bit.
why. I get it. I understand. But that spot stuck out to me.
I
Yeah.
Um,
I would.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Allie.
I was just saying I didn't even realize the maze part. I miss it because it was so fast.
Oh,
If we saw it, I kind of like the quickness of it. Maybe if it was just slowed down by like 10% and then there was just more of it.
oh,
It
as in
held on
like
for longer.
you could have the same speed going through the maze, but you actually have like more maze stacked on top, so
More
you can see it
maze.
traveling through it longer.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good.
more maze,
More maze, please.
more corn.
I'm gonna say I think from like a storytelling perspective, like we go from sports to like computers to these houses, and this is all great and this globe thing, but like I like there are moments here that I didn't see in the beginning, which is confusing. Like
Mm.
whatever that last right before the logo reveal is, like like don't
Like
add
that
stuff. You don't need
computer
to.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't or like take the things I've already seen and put them here if you're gonna like bring it all together.
Yeah.
Like keep the story tight, maybe is what I'm saying. It is okay to reuse things. Like don't make these new. That's confusing to your audience.
I
Reuse it.
agree.
I want to see it again so that
Yeah.
I'm part of the story.
Well, and because
Yeah,
it would
it's
signal
kind of
that
too
you're
short
getting
to
towards the end, if
Yeah.
you're seeing the
Yeah.
stuff from the very beginning again.
interpret all those new icons. Also, I will say I like the animation of some of the little icons that happen here. I think they're very cute, but also they're icons, and I don't like that.
True.
Um,
And why don't we like
and-
icons?
because it's lazy.
It's just kind of the like we talk all the time about how motion is a place to play and do something that you can't just get out of a camera or something, and certainly this is more stylized than what you could get out of a camera, but like there's probably some other way to showcase these concepts, that use more of the screen or feel like a more intentional choice than necessarily just a pictogram of what the thing is that you're talking about,
I
Also,
will
your
say that if I saw this for like a specific type of commercial, though, like there's people who want this specifically, like it would be
True.
great.
Yeah, it might be a client decision. You're right.
Like the motion for if the iconography was like that's what you need, this is like the motion's great.
Agreed.
I could definitely see, yeah, if someone came to them with like two style frames of this thing, I'd be like, yeah, you nailed it.
I will say the motion's pretty consistently great.
Yeah.
Is that the moon? Because it's very big.
I was thinking the same thing.
That is
That's a big old
really
moon.
large. And also my last big
Gripe?
critique here is gripe. My big ripey gripe is your phone feels very flat when it turns up.
I
and
was thinking the
just
same.
absolutely don't like your paper thin phone. I
It
know that it
needs some-
technically has depth. I can see that, but it's not communicated because it blends into the background.
Oh,
It's the same
I didn't
color.
realize.
So it
Yeah, if you
almost
just change that color a little bit, you're good to go.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
with this, it almost looks like you didn't add depth or an extrusion at all, and it was just like a flat layer that you enabled 3D on in After Effects and said,
Yeah.
okay, rotate it. Cool, let's do that.
And you could like change the color over time so that you can kind of see the depth and it's this color and it blends in well, but like when it turns, maybe it gets darker or it changes color so that you can kind of feel like it's almost shiny or something like that. But right now it feels flat.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just wanted to
and
call
also
out how smooth that logo
Yeah, I
animation is
wanted
at the
to do
end.
that
That
too.
is
That's really fun.
fantastic. I love
Yeah.
it.
That's very cool. Anyway, boom roasted. I
Boom
would say, unless you guys
roasted.
have any other things to
No,
say?
that was great.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Boom roasted.
Boom roasted, Olgierd. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you for submitting.
All right, now quickly we will run through our recs of the day, and I'm gonna go ahead and go first. I'll do notes afterwards. I just felt like we could use some play here, so I went on Allie's website and found the play tab.
Oh, that's so
And,
fun.
I don't know. It's like what we try and do with guests is like try and go back and look through like the oldest possible thing that they have. But you both were very difficult to find things for. So I am doing a genuine actual rec instead. I love
Wait, should I
these.
keep my sunglasses on for this?
Oh no sunglasses. Oh,
Is
I'm
this
so
too
sorry. I'm not
hard?
critiquing anymore. Sorry, I'm not trying to roast.
Bye,
I'm like, am I
Sunnies.
the roasted?
No, these are great. I just love how these feel and look, and they're really interesting, and you just do
Okay.
such
Ooh,
fun
that's
abstract
so cool.
explorations. You know,
Come
Yeah.
on.
it's so fun. I'm just
Thank
here having
you.
a great time.
Thanks,
Um,
yeah.
So I don't know. I just wanted to shout these out. These are from like 2021, right? Ish. They're kind
Uh,
of old-ish.
2020, 2021, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't really updated them
But
in a while.
they stand the test of time.
Oh,
This
thank
this
you.
white one, oh my
It's
god.
so cool.
I want to
It's
put like
very-
fun glitchy overlays on it and just oh
I
my
liked it clean. It reminded me of like Cool Whip. But
I love
This is
that.
the coolest cool whip.
have you ever heard of the program
dude.
Mandelbulb 3D?
I've never heard
Nope.
of that.
It's like they use formulas with fractals, and you can make these 3D
Yeah.
generative art, like just like
What?
change things, and then it spits out like really cool stuff. Like I was just like, oh, that's cool.
Because
Render.
you see whipped cream, and I see like a planet landscape or something. You know, like it
Yeah,
looks
I
super
see, like-
cool.
It's
Glacier tundra.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
yeah.
Well, anyway, wanted to shout those out, and then
Thank you.
Noah's rec that he wanted to pass off was the Fragment 9 reel. So we're gonna go ahead
That's
and watch
right.
that real quick.
Oh,
Oh
man.
my gosh.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, they line up to the beats. Oh my god.
If it didn't, I mean, like, just fire us
Yeah,
immediately,
you know?
to be honest.
There's this one scene, I'm trying to remember who you did it for, but it's like these ocean waves and you have a little bit of pixel sorting going on.
Definitely
I'm
Alt
sure it'll
J
show up.
in the
Yeah,
box.
I think it is Alt J.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that shot. That one.
Yeah,
delish,
yeah.
delish.
That's so cool. It feels so
That was an alley
tactile.
song.
Of course. Of course.
I have to clear all my
Nice.
notifications, but that is a piece of that song is my phone background.
That's so cool.
It's offline. Wait.
What?
Yeah. I'm on Do Not Disturb, but it is also phone background.
That's so cool.
That's so fantastic.
We can send them over. We
Yeah.
got phone background.
Oh yes,
Please.
please do.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah.
You guys must have like banger.
Banging reel. Also, what a flex! Like every single shot is just like, yeah, big stage, cool screen, nice graphics.
Here's
I like
Usher.
it.
Here's
You could have it too. Here we are.
Megan Thee Stallion. I'm like, oh my god.
I love it. I love it.
Thanks,
So
guys.
wonderful.
Well, we gotta let you guys get back to which we can use some corporate speak. Say, we'll give you some of your day back.
Oh, brother.
Oh God.
But yeah,
I have.
Thank you so much for hanging. Sorry,
Yeah.
no, what were you gonna say?
We got one last very small question left.
Oh.
I ask everyone.
Oh,
Oh yes, you're
just
right.
a quick
My
little.
mistake.
If you could go and say one thing to your younger self, maybe it's something about where you'll be, or maybe it's a little piece of advice into doing what you want to do. What would that little thing be?
oh man, we're really ending on such a wholesome note.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Keep just do what you feel like your dreams are. Like go for them. I went
Yeah,
for it,
jump.
and like if you feel like that's what you want to do, but then you're pressured to maybe do something else, or you feel like it's not the right path, like the most attainable path, like you might be wrong. Like your dream actually might work. Like when I was 17 years old, I saw concert visuals and I was like, I want to do concert visuals one day. And I went to college for animation, and I kind of felt like it was a little unattainable. Like it was like, oh, you got to go into advertising, kind of, corporate maybe. And then now I'm back doing it. So I was like, oh, cool. That's what I wanted to do all along. So
There you go. Living the sweet life.
Love it.
Heck
got there at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I mean, I went to school for electrical engineering. Like, this was not my path. But here I am. Like, if you see the opportunity, like sometimes you gotta take the risk. You know, like yeah.
Love
That's
it.
beautiful.
Good, Hank. That's a good
Wonderful,
one.
y'all. All right. Well, that's the show. Y'all know what to do. Link in the description if you want to get your work critique. There's a Google form down there, Discord link down there as well. And otherwise, use hashtag Daily Motion Show when you post on socials, and we just might wreck it.
Go follow these people on social
Follow
media.
them.
Fragment 9.
Follow them.
Do
Fragment
you guys have
9.
anything to plug?
No.
No,
All
we
right.
are,
I have, like,
unlike you guys, we are
personal Instagram.
social media noobs. We
Go
are
follow.
like the least hype beasts there are.
We'll
You
make
can go to Fragment 9 social media.
All right.
That's where all the stuff lives.
go to
Yeah.
Fragment
Beautiful.
9. Check it out. We will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.